Hey, it's Natasha.
And Khalil.
And we are the co-hosts of
WokeNFree.
Thank you for tuning in to our 90th episode of WokeNFree. If you've been tuning in every week for WokeNFree Wednesday, you know that WokeNFree is all about being real and honest with each other and you. We talk about everything and anything important to us, you, the world, and nothing is off the table. This week, we're talking all about whether there is a purpose to life. Deep stuff, guys, deep stuff. But before we dive deep into that subject, a couple of questions to ask you. First, have you subscribed to WokeNFree on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play, YouTube, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, or even via email? If not, please go to WokeNFree.com and subscribe away. Next, have you shared an episode with friends and family? If you know people in your life that are struggling with having purpose, not only for today, but their general purpose in life, this would be the episode to share. So share away. Next, have you hollered at us on social media? If you're ever interested in sharing breaking news or episode ideas or collaboration ideas or just general thoughts going around in your head, feel free to find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and even YouTube at WokeNFree. And then lastly, have you reviewed the show? If not, we would love for you to take a couple of minutes to give us your general feedback as to how the show is going, your favorite episodes, and all of that jazz on any of the platforms I've mentioned. So whether that's on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play, or any of the other platforms we're on, you can do so at WokeNFree.com.
Each week we like to share a little bit about us before we dive into the topic for the episode. Last week we shared, what is your favorite diamond color? This week we are sharing, if you have the urge to write, which do you choose, a diary or a blog?
That's actually an interesting question. So growing up as a child, I always had some type of journal or diary. So I've always been a writer, like my entire life. But I would say, being that I've been a blogger for many years now, at least darn near 9 years at this point, I would say if I have a deep urge to write something, I probably would go into the blog mindset and put out a blog post. So whether that's something on the WokeNFree report, woohoo, or on my own website for Dressing Room 8, or other types of periodicals and places that I contribute to, I would definitely dive into a blog. But what about you?
I gotta go with the blog as well. But that's because I don't like to write physical things out. I would throw it out if I wrote it on paper.
Okay, so this is like an eco-friendly question. Gotcha. Okay.
Well, for me it is. I'd rather just do a digital thing if I was going to do something. So I'd just do a blog. That'd be easier for me.
That makes sense, yeah.
Instead of writing on a piece of paper.
I hear ya.
And we could jump into the topic. I'll just ask it. Is there a purpose to life?
So funny that you asked that question. It's quite the complex question. I think there's a lot that goes into answering this. So one article that I found was on keepinspiring.me, which you can find all of our links in the episode at WokeNFree.com. So it goes through many points. So we'll take it one by one. First, the purpose of life is to be happy. Happiness cannot be traveled to, owned, earned, worn, or consumed. Happiness is a spiritual experience of living every minute with love, grace, and gratitude. Dennis Waitley. Is the purpose of life to be happy? I would say it depends on the region of the world you live in, because I think that seems like an American concept, right? But I don't know.
I'd say American.
Well, I think that there's a lot of people that walk around with privilege and opulence and wealth and joy, and I don't necessarily know if that translates internationally. I think there are people that wake up in suffrage in a way that Americans don't experience or understand. So I think that would be like an American soundbite, but I don't know if that's a global standpoint. But what do you think? You think that that's true?
I think just from a general standpoint of a human, that should be the goal.
I think it's an ideal, yeah.
And remember, it's the purpose of life, not that you're fulfilling it.
That's
People
true.
can just think, they can be like, yeah, you should be happy in life, but in this life, that won't happen for me.
Okay.
Because especially if you have like a Buddhist belief, if you have multiple lives, maybe this life you said, I have to suffer, but the real purpose is to be happy. I mean, it could. I don't know if it's strictly American and has to go with opulence, because I think people that are poor can still have the same ideology that the purpose of life is to be happy, and they don't have to be wealthy.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've talked about this as well. You know, after a certain point in salary, like I think it's around $76,000. You know, the level of happiness of a person between someone making that amount and making, you know, $1 million is like minuscule at best.
Yeah, it doesn't change.
Because as long as, like, once you start to fulfill your needs, then you've already kind of filled that bar of happiness. So I'm not saying that only rich people would see the
So
beauty
that happiness is the
but I'm just saying that, like, I just wonder, like,
I think it's easier. Maybe it's easier for them to like say that my goal is happiness
I
compared to
think
somebody
so,
whose
yeah.
goal is to get food. Like,
yeah, I just think
that's
that,
it's
like,
hard to say.
if
I
you're
wanna be
coming
happy.
from a
I'm
space
hungry.
of, like, survival versus thrival, I just wonder if you would still have that same mindset. But maybe, you know, and maybe that's the differentiating factor. Maybe if we all took that premise and kind of walked into that truth, maybe things would be different, and it could stand across oceans and time and space. That would be one purpose. But here's another one then. The purpose of life is to leave a legacy. So all good men and women must take responsibility to create legacies that will take the next generation to a level we could only imagine. Jim Rohn. So this is all coming again from that article that I mentioned that you will find at WokeNFree.com. The purpose of life is to leave a legacy. I would concur with that statement. I think it would be kind of weird to just live your life in kind of a vacuum, not thinking about the impact you're making, not only for your own offspring, but for the next generation. Well, what do you think?
Well, that's why we have the ability to reproduce.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Yeah.
I think that's like leaving. That's one form of leaving a legacy, and
Sure.
then also when we leave, like if we build a school or something,
Yes.
or leave great bodies of work.
Yes.
That's how we leave legacies. So I think, in how life exists as of it is now, we leave legacies. So that definitely does. That seems plausible to say the purpose of life is to leave a legacy.
Okay.
Since we all kind of do that in some way or another.
So we agree with that one. All right.
Yeah.
The next one would be the purpose of life is to love others. So not only do self-love and love of others go hand in hand, but ultimately they are indistinguishable. M. Scott Peck.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
They say they're indistinguishable.
I say that all the time, that really you can only give for what you have, right? So if you're not loving yourself, you are unlikely to be able to love others well. So I think that's pretty much what that quote is speaking to. But is the purpose of life to love each other or love others? I would agree. I think that love is one of the most profound feelings a human can experience. And, you know, the love of your child, the love of your partner, the love of a friend, the love of your family member, it adds to your life, hopefully, if you've #changed the narrative when needed to do so. But overwhelmingly, I think love transforms a human's life as long as it adds to the person's existence. So I would agree with that sentence. What about you?
Yeah. I think it's definitely reasonable to say that life involves loving others. Definitely. It's what kind of helps keep our society going, I think. I mean, if you don't love others, then you probably wouldn't help them either.
True. Yes.
I think it's
Hand in hand.
People do need help. You know, we're not just all knowing and all powerful
No.
and all doing. It takes more than one person to keep the humanity as a whole going on. So definitely need love in it.
Absolutely. All right. So we're what is that? 3 for 3, I guess.
Yeah.
Next, the purpose of life is to create your own meaning. Life has no meaning. Each of us has meaning, and we bring to life. It is a waste to be asking the question when you are the answer. Joseph Campbell. That's really interesting. So the purpose of life is to create your own meaning.
Wow.
I think that's profoundly true. I think.
Wow.
I wish that someone had told me that as a child, because I definitely was caught up in that should kind of journey where, you know, you should be a professional because that's just kind of what Caribbean first generation born in America people do. You should do this because, you know, black people, you know, we have to push the culture and push the movement and, you know, all these shoulds. I'm a woman and I should, right? But really, there is no should other than the shoulds that come out of your mind. And what do you feel like doing? And who do you want to be in this world? And what does your authentic truth look like? So, you know, I think that's a profoundly true statement. But what do you think?
I don't think the life has no. I don't like the quote.
Oh, okay, but Joseph Campbell, yeah.
Yeah, I don't like the quote about life has no meaning. I don't agree with that because I think that as humans go on, as we study more things and learn more, we may eventually find out the actual meaning of life. I know it's hard to even conceptualize now, but it was probably hard to conceptualize speaking to people across the globe as well.
Absolutely.
So you never know. That's why I would never say that life has no meaning, but I would definitely say that you can create something out of it. You know, you don't have to follow what people tell you. You can do whatever you want. So in that kind of way, I understand it, that it's saying create your own meaning, but to say that there is no meaning, I don't think that's true.
Well, so what I take from that, and just to reiterate the quote, just for everyone listening, life has no meaning. Each of us has meaning, and we bring it to life. It is a waste to be asking the question when you are the answer. Joseph Campbell. So I think what he's saying is, if you think about it on kind of maybe like a molecular level, right? Like, how did the earth and the world begin, right? Big Bang, which had no meaning or purpose behind it. It was just a phenomenon that happened.
As we know.
As of what we know right now.
Yeah,
yes. So, maybe there was a deeper meaning for Big Bang, but if you adhere to that ideology,
some people don't believe in that either.
But if you adhere to that thought process, right? Let's go with me, guys. So Big Bang happened, random phenomenon that led to the creation of humans, and I think what Joseph Campbell is trying to say is that it's through the beauty and grace of evolution that brings meaning to life. But if you look at like why things happened, right? What is this chaos order that this ordered chaos that we live in is brought, like, we bring the meaning to life. So I don't know. I mean, it's interesting that you interpret it as like no, and you just
I don't like him trying to say that life itself actually doesn't have a meaning. I don't agree with that. You don't
see that he's saying essentially that like the humans and the animals and the evolution is creating the meaning of life and the purpose to life. It's just life itself is kind of this plane that we live in, and it's because of us living in it that we bring, and not just us, but the fruits and the animals and the all of us.
That's why I go beyond that. I think life goes beyond the human existence. Life is going to exist regardless of we're in it or not. So
I'm saying the animals and the creatures too. Like I'm saying, like all of that.
Because I'm thinking of life as the universe, and I think there's a meaning to the universe.
I don't know if he went that far. I mean, but maybe. I mean, it depends on how you.
Or now if we're just now if we're just talking about the purpose of human life.
Yeah.
I mean,
human life.
And then even then, I still think there's definitely a meaning. It's like human. Like we were created for some reason. Like the bumblebees were put here to pollinate the flowers, which also They also, I think it's like with crops too. They also help pollinate the vegetation and fruits. So without them, we wouldn't have our crops. There would be no way to have these crops flourish without these bees. So I think every being and every creature has a meaning. I don't think it's just like no meaning and the creature itself is making the meaning. I think they're there for a purpose, for a larger purpose. Like their life has a larger purpose than even the being itself. That's the only thing I'm
so thinking. You're for the statement, but you're not for the quote.
I don't like the accompanying quote, but I understand that you can create. I understand what they mean by create your own meaning, but it shouldn't be that there is no actual meaning, though, for life itself. I don't know. That to me is a little grandiose.
All right. The next one is the purpose of life is to make a positive difference. Aim to make a difference in someone's life every single day, including your own. Tao Zen Tamata. So I love this because I think some of the most powerful people that have ever walked the face of this earth lived in that truth of like trying to do something positively different and make an impact. So whether that's Oprah, whether that is Dr. King, whether that is Malcolm X, whether that is Maya Angelou, whether that is Bill Gates, whether that is Mark Zuckerberg, like any person who has profoundly changed our world, either through technology, through the arts, through science, through math, through engineering, through all industries alike and different. I think that's a part of our impact as a human being, as a creature on this planet. So we're good on that one?
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right.
Definitely.
Then the next one, the purpose of life is to have a variety of experiences. So 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the things you did do. Mark Twain. I agree with that. I think when we recently went
true.
to Austin, Texas, and we had some firsts, it really did remind me that, like, wow, like, yeah, we're in our 30s, but we can still have more firsts, right? It doesn't end at age 5 or 7, but I think if you're not living a life where every year you're having a first, then maybe you're not living to the best of your ability, or maybe you're not even living your best life. So a variety of experience. The only thing I would put a caveat to that is, I think not everyone needs to experience everything, right? So, if I live my life and I don't have a menage a trois, I don't think I'll be mad about that. But like, so I go like the dirty way. So I'm thinking like
not saying to do everything.
Yeah, or like if I don't become a porn star in life, like will I be sad about that? Like,
or if you don't wear nipple clamps.
Yeah, right. Like if you don't pierce your hoo-ha, right? Like would you? Or
if you don't do back hooks.
Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, like or if you don't. Yeah, if you don't film yourself having sexual engagement. I mean, I think not all experiences are for everyone, so that's the only caveat but I do think you should push yourself and do new things.
Well, yeah, I think that's what's saying.
Yeah, but I know, guys, it went a little weird there, but
I was going to say a completely different thing.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say in middle school, I wish I had tried out for the lacrosse team, like that kind of thing. That's what I was thinking.
So different.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like, yeah, that would have been cool to do. It would have been way different, something I never even thought of trying. So
true.
But that's what I think of when I think of variety of experiences, like doing a sport that you never thought you'd even be interested in.
I
stuff
know.
Like
Sometimes I have a dirty mind, you know that. But like, or maybe like, so you're not going to be sad if you don't become a country singer.
And there's some experiences I'd like to super avoid, and that's one of them.
All right.
Because that,
yes.
the WokeNFree family should know me and how me and country get along.
You're just limited.
They know the connection that I have with country.
Limited in that field.
I don't know if that's what I would call it, but that's what you can call it.
Next, the purpose of life is to find something important enough to justify suffering. If there's meaning in life at all, then there must be meaning in suffering. Viktor Frankl. So this sentence is very interesting because I think there are different ways to interpret it, right? So
that's funny.
For me, when I read that, the purpose of life is to find something important enough to justify suffering. Like, so I think of like maybe a woman's work, right? Like that beautiful Maxwell song. Shout out to Maxwell, love you. What women go through to be the bringers of life in this world is remarkable, and there is incredible suffering that it takes to bring a human being onto this planet. So like. And is that something justifiable? Is that something superbly important? Yeah, because without creating life, then our race would not continue. So
yeah.
I think that in that regard, it works. Also, when starting a business or starting a new venture, there's incredible work and there's incredible blood, sweat, and tears.
What about bodybuilding?
And that stuff too, yeah. When you train your body, like shout out to Michael B. Jordan and all the work he does to look the way he does in the Creed franchises, right? Like, whoa, buddy. When people, or Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? Like what it took for him to look that way, like. Yeah, is that justifiable suffering? Is that worth it? I think so. It's a I don't know. I think it's probably like an anti-secret way of saying it, but like, yes, I would concur with that sentence.
Yeah, it definitely is it's anti-secret because you're mentioning the suffering, so it's kind of like you're bringing upon the suffering by saying
you're manifesting pain, unnecessarily. I think how I would change the sentence is the purpose of life is to find something important enough to do and to put your heart, soul, and mind behind it, right? And whatever suffering that comes and incurs with that journey is a part of the journey, but I don't think you should manifest suffering. Like, I think if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. You don't need to tell the universe, like, you want to suffer. Like,
you have to be like, at least I'm doing this very important thing for my community, and I'm willing to have eggs thrown at me for it, because then that's going to happen.
True.
People are going to come after you and do stuff because you brought that upon yourself by thinking it possible.
Guys,
you should just think that I think you should focus on what the important thing is that you want to do.
Yes.
Like if you're running for office or something, and they're gonna bring out your dirty skeletons in your closet, all that stuff you did in the past.
Oh, good Lord.
Something like that happens. Or if you're gonna be one of the 30,000 Democratic candidates trying to run for president.
I know.
You know,
this is a mess.
Talk about suffering, man. You get
foolish endeavors.
I know, but
foolish. But
hey, they find it important enough. They find it important enough, so they're willing to do their suffering, I guess.
I guess, yeah. It just seems like a waste of money, but hey. I mean, the only thing I guess I would add to it, and we talked about it a little bit before, which is the find your own purpose, like your own meaning for life. So for when I think of, is there a purpose for life? Yes, I think it is self-determinable. I think at the end of the day, for you listening, WokeNFree Nation, if you're not a person who believes in love, then love isn't a part of your meaning. Or, if you don't believe in suffering, then that's not going to be a part of your existence. I think it's, your thoughts become things. So I think whatever you're thinking and whatever you're intending and manifesting for yourself is what the purpose will be for you. I don't think there's one way to go about it, but I think I'm excited because this is a very interesting question. It's a very interesting topic, but what are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are funny because I agree with you, but then I disagree with you in
the
way that I say that, yes, right now the purpose of life is definitely something determined by a person, but ultimately it's hard to visualize, but I think there is like a one true purpose for life for humans, but there's no way we can get to it right now. We're just not far enough along. We're kind of like infants in
the journey. Okay.
Yeah, so that's the problem. So we're asking certain questions to try to find out really what life is, why we're here, and what are we meant to do. Like, I think that's what we're always asking, and each of us are making our own little journeys, but currently we're not going to get to that ultimate answer yet. I think we've got a whole lot of ways to go. It's kind of like we got to fix our problems first before we can tackle such a huge, big idea.
Gotcha.
It's like we got to get over these little hurdles that we keep getting caught up with. We're not gonna, or else you can't tackle the huge question about what life is really about.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So that's what I think. The ultimate thing is it's almost like we're just like a lot of worker bees, like working at like trying to get to the honey. Like if we're trying to get to that center source of honey where it's the all flowing honey, and we're all working at it, we're doing our own little journeys. It's like, all right, I'll take out that part of the rock to get to where the honey is hiding or whatever. It's something like that. It's like we're all working on something separately, but for the same purpose of finding out what life is. That's kind of what I think of when I think of the purpose of life.
Okay.
And then I also saw this summary from Scott on Psychology Today, and what he listed as the purpose of life is, he said, your purpose in life is to live the life of a hero.
Oh, wow.
Which is, that's kind of interesting, I guess. It's almost like to do, I guess, the good deeds and kind of like...
be Superman.
Yeah. Take care of problems that you see, help out people, love people, and treat them all with some decency and respect, Value people's lives. I guess that's what he's trying to refer to.
Is that a All Lives Matter reference?
Maybe. I think that's what heroes do.
Good luck.
Yeah. I think heroes do.
All lives do matter, guys. All lives do matter, yes. But not all lives are represented equally.
Not all lives are treated
and not all lives are valued by law.
Some lives are valued more.
Yes, by law. So all lives matter, but not all people believe that theory. But some people like to tout that hashtag on social media and go wild with it. But that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, that's something. That's a whole other thing. Then he went on to list 4 ways that hero stories illuminate our true purpose. He said that you will go on a journey, you will grow from adversity, you will assemble a team of allies, and you will give back to society. So I think he summarized some of the points that you actually you touched on.
I like this, though. This is interesting because it seems like, again, so guys, WokeNFree Nation, you'll go on a journey, you'll grow from adversity, you'll assemble a team of allies, you'll give back to society. I think it's kind of a really simplified, 4 tenets of life, and I think that if we taught children this, I think it would add so much clarity to people's journeys, and think about that, because even adversity, as a kid, you experience it, and you're like, why is this happening? But if you already had the kind of foresight or knowledge to say, hey, this is happening or this is going to happen in your life because you need to grow from it, I think you would take it on with bring it on, vibrato, right? You wouldn't be like, oh my God, why is this happening? Because I felt like every time I dealt with adversity, it was such a shocking moment for me, but I wish I had been taught that this is a part of growth and glory, and it's a part of what makes you strong. It's that those scabs give you veracity and determination to keep getting up and moving, right? But interesting. All right, so now when it comes to your own personal purpose for life, how do you find this? What does that look like?
Now, I looked at this article by the author Mark Manson.
Yeah.
He's a New York Times best-selling author.
Love that book.
So, The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F.
Yes.
An F is not for fun, I think.
No. It's a different type of effort.
Not for fun.
And
He poses some strange questions that we should ask ourselves.
Guys, that's
I'll
crazy
list some of them that I thought were interesting. What is true about you today that would make your 8-year-old self cry? So, again, what is true about yourself today that would make your 8-year-old self cry?
That's sad. Yeah.
So just ask yourself that question. You know, if you were younger and looked at yourself now, what's something that you couldn't imagine yourself doing?
Yeah.
Like paying bills.
Mm-hmm.
You could, or did you comprehend
that would make you
bills?
Cry. Or not having candy when you want, that would probably make your 8-year-old self cry. I know it would make me cry. Not having cake every night, that would make me cry.
Saying that you can only go to the sugar factory once.
Yeah, that's bull.
That'd make you cry.
Yeah, that would make me cry.
At 8, you would be like, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
I want to live there.
This is disastrous. This is a disaster.
I would want to live there. Yeah. What are you saying? What's
Why
wrong with
are
that?
you a sadist? That would be awful.
The next question is, what makes you forget to eat and poop?
That's disturbing. But listen, guys, that's a hell of a book. We'll put it in the episode for you guys to check it out. Hell of a book. Yeah. I read it. Very interesting author, very interesting context. Read the book, guys. Phenomenal.
How can you better embarrass yourself? Wow.
I like that because it forces you to get comfortable with the uncomfortable, and the more that you can do that, the more confident and the more you don't give a F about things, and that makes you a better leader. It makes you a better presenter. It's important. It sounds awful, but it's so good to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. It is.
That's a good one actually. Mm-hmm. How are you going to save the world?
Auntie Oprah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Hi, Auntie. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we all should be asking that. Imagine if everybody had that goal of saving the world. Just imagine.
Well, we wouldn't have had people like Hitler in the world. I mean, or Stalin.
Only issue.
They definitely didn't intend to save the world. They intended to save certain.
Yeah. So you got to save the world. Yeah, there you go.
Save the world question. That would change a lot of
specifically
dictators
the world.
And terrorists. I mean, all of them would not even
only a certain group of people
do what they do. I mean, that's a remarkable question. Yeah.
The world, though, specifically.
And I don't know even if save the world really is the appropriate language. Because you can't save the... I think you can better the world. I think you can enhance the world. But saving implies that there is only one savior, right? And I don't think that... To me, it seems like it's like... is there this Superman who's just going to come and put out all the fires? Unlikely. But as a collective, like what you were saying, that we're struggling with even finding the purpose of life because we haven't even dealt with our own individual nonsense. Yeah. So I just think that, if you really want to think about saving the world, I think that's a world effort. That's not a personal endeavor, but I don't know.
All right. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah. And then if you knew you were going to die 1 year from today, what would you do and how would you want to be remembered?
I would eat cake every day, and
Every day, man. Put yourself in a stupor.
Yes, and I would do crazy social media. I would do documentaries, and it would be nuts. But I would do a lot of other things. I'd also travel to a lot of different places. I would definitely spend time with elephants and furry cheetahs. And I would, you and me, we'd have to just be independently wealthy for this year. And we would just have to do a bunch of fun stuff and not really deal with anything else.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think I think a lot of people would answer this the same way. Some people wouldn't, but I would say is the traveling. I think a lot of people,
you travel to a bunch of different places.
That's what they say is the best thing is to have experiences rather than to buy stuff.
No.
Because some people would think you know what, let me just buy everything I wanted, but then you're gonna get bored of that stuff within a couple months, and then you're like, whoops, I screwed up. But if you travel, you're just gonna have more and more fun and more stories to share.
Food to be had, people to be
you're gonna have crazy experiences.
Yeah.
You know what'd be funny too is if you found like some cure to whatever was to whatever.
Oh, or find the cure to your disease. I guess.
You find this place where you just learn to like live with what you have or something. So that'd be interesting too from your travels.
True.
You become like Doctor Strange or something. You get these special powers and you just can do magic.
I'm gonna be Iron Man. That's what I'm gonna do.
You could do that too.
Amazing. Okay. So according to Psychology Today, shout out to them, I found an article where they suggested asking yourself these 5 questions and when it comes to finding your personal purpose. 1, find out what drives you. 2, find out what energizes you. 3, find out what you're willing to sacrifice for. Human beings love sacrifice. We're so negative, gosh. 4, find out who you want to help. That's interesting. And 5, find out how you want to help. So if you think about that, those are some really interesting questions. I think out of all of them, my favorite one is find out what energizes you. Because like for me, I had wished I tapped into the idea of like how much I love communication and how much I love media and how much I love public speaking because it drives me crazy. You know, every time I speak, people are like, you are like so extra with the energy.
Definitely.
Because it feeds my soul. There's nothing more exciting and more enjoyable to me. And I would have, if I had thought about that and had been more in tune with myself, it probably would have changed certain decisions that I made. So I definitely think those are really interesting questions to ask yourself. If you're in high school, ask yourself these questions, guys. Think about it because you're about to embark, in the next stage of your life. Save yourself time. Go and directly go right into what you want to do. Don't, find these detours. I mean, you can do it that way, but I just think if you can be direct and do what you're meant to do in this world, then just do that, right? Why find that 20 years later? Like, I just,
So don't do it. Other people recommend
I think,
some people might tell you to do something safe.
Oh, of course. But you know what it is? You could choose faith or you can choose fear. It's up to you, right?
Yeah.
Choose, I say, stand in faith and move forward, even if everyone tells you not to, because they're living in a space of fear. And that's a shame for them, but it's not your shame to bear. It really isn't.
Okay. Well, what are the obstacles to finding your purpose in life?
Okay. A couple of things. Never asking yourself the question, right? I never ask myself that question. What's my purpose in life? As many times as I've talked and asked myself questions, I actually was thinking about that. I never asked myself that question when I was a kid. I asked the question, what's the purpose of life? But I didn't ask the purpose to me. And that's a distinctively different question. So ask yourself the question, what's your purpose? Why are you here? Also, self-doubt is a really good way to not find your purpose because it's scary to find your authentic truth. It's scary to figure out that whatever you're doing and whoever you're with is not what you should be around or not what you should be doing. That's scary as hell. So there's that. Lack of confidence, even when you do know the answer to that question. If you don't believe you can achieve it, then, are you likely to move forward? Most likely not. Family and friends. I know, guys. I'm salty on family. I know. But a lot of times it's because I hear the same narrative. Change the narrative, guys. Too many people say what? Their family doesn't support them. Their family judges them. Their family nonsense, right? Change the narrative. So if you are standing alone on your journey, you've got to be your best friend. Beyonce said it in a song, and you got to listen to Queen Bee. She said that you have my best friend, me, myself, and I are best friends. You have to stand in your truth regardless of whether other people are with you, especially if they're related to you or especially if they're your friend, because, friends can be your haters and frenemies, another group of people who will try to bring you down and or deter you. Personal sabotage is another reason. So even if you are on your journey, if you start to do things that are like bad habits or take you away from moving forward on the journey, that could be a problem for you. And then lastly, lack of commitment, right? What if you have the answer to the question and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And then Tuesday comes and Friday comes and 3 years ago and you're not really in it to win it. So those are some of my thoughts. What about you?
I think some of the obstacles include trying to survive paycheck to paycheck. Because,
poverty.
Be doing that. I think you're not going to be looking for the purpose of life. That's what I think.
You're talking about how many millions of people in this country?
Yeah.
It's not even funny.
It's a shame, but
Yes.
it's definitely an obstacle.
Mm-hmm.
Solving other people's issues before dealing with your own.
Ooh, that's a hard one. Because that's parents might be in that trap because they're trying to lead their kids down the right path and they haven't even found their own damn path.
Yeah,
damn.
So that's going to be
that's a sad one.
It's going to be a struggle though, definitely, because you got to figure out yourself before you're going to help somebody else. Trying to live up to others' expectations, like you're saying with family and friends, they can definitely give you these high expectations.
And cultural norms, right?
Yeah.
Like, ugh.
Yeah, it'll make you think you got to do certain things, otherwise you didn't really fulfill yourself. You just kind of like squandered your life. That's what people would make you think.
Yes.
Even if it's not something that you wanted to do, right?
Yep. Exactly.
And then another thing I'd say is trying to impress others at the expense of yourself.
Oh,
so, going out of your way to live up to these expectations, and it actually harms you in some way. If you may spend a lot of money trying to reach this look, or just even going to school. Maybe you didn't want to go to school. You wanted to be an artist, but you spent all this money on school, and it didn't even. You weren't really all in it, so then after school you didn't find a job, so it was like, wow, I spent all this money for nothing. Yeah, now I'm in debt. Like, why did I do that? Because other people wanted me to go to school when I didn't need to. Exactly. That reminds me also of the Kevin Hart joke where he, is, I think it's the Laugh at My Pain tour where he was talking about, like, how my bank account don't work that way, like, where he was hanging with, like, these, like... Oh, people who had all this money, right? Buku money, and they're just dropping thousands of dollars of bills, and he's like, well, my bank account don't work that way. Like, and it's just a joke to essentially say that, like, just because other people, like, I think Floyd Mayweather, he was hanging with, and that person he's got Dolo. Money Mayweather. Like, he got money in the bank. His nickname is Money. Yeah. Money Mayweather, so that's absolutely. What they call him. And that's a beautiful thing, and no one should ever hate on that hustle. However, not everybody's got that kind of cash. Yeah. So you've got to go to the club and spend that works in a way that works for your bank account. Well, yeah, you can't throw dollar bills, you're throwing quarters. Yeah, you might need to throw pennies. Yeah. I mean, that might how it has to be. I don't know where you're getting these pennies from. Like, let's at least go to quarters. How about we just don't throw any money and just give the person who serviced you a nice tip? And what about coupons? You can give out coupons. Like the 25 cents off of milk, at the local market. That works. You can do that. I collected all these coupons, so you can do super couponing. He got money in the bank, you got coupons in your pocket. Yeah, that's how it works. I got collected coupons, and they haven't expired. Absolutely. So that trying to impress other people will catch you lovely, because you'll be trying to do things and then wonder why you can't eat next month. That don't make no sense. Let's try to think about that. Mm-hmm. Now, do you think most people find their purpose in life? Interesting question. So I found this Medium article where this author provides reasons why most people don't discover their calling in life. So we'll go through it one by one. He says, the person says, you're afraid of stepping into uncertainty. So a hero is someone who voluntarily walks into the unknown. Tom Hanks. Wow. Yeah, I mean, you and me have discussed this before. I've recently kind of come to the realization, or my aha moment, about the idea that, like, what is the one thing human beings want on this planet? Certainty. What is the one thing we do not have in this world? Certainty. Yeah. So it's a conundrum. It's a conundrum of life, because we're chasing this concept that we can never achieve for our entire lives. So, if you are going to step into your truth, and you're only stepping into your truth when you have certainty, then you will never step into your truth, because you're never going to get it. It just will not happen. There's certain things that you expect to happen that may happen, but you're never going to get, like, that check, God telling you, hey, it's going to happen. Go ahead. It's Tuesday. Nope, not happening. Deal with that story. So there's that. Next, you don't create enough of the safe spaces you need. So I think what the article is talking about here is that, we have a lot going on in the world. It's important for you to create intentional space in your office, in your home, in your mind, where you focus on your ideas, you focus on your intentions and your goal setting, and you don't allow the other nonsense to come into your mind. So, for instance,
article mentions the average person gets exposed to over 5,000 advertisements a day, and most of these messages are total bullcrap, as stated in the article.
Oh, wow.
Right? And so it's super easy to get inundated with a lot of content and then forget about what? The content you need to create, the messages and intentions you need to set in this world. So not having safe space in your mind, in your home, in your work is not going to allow you to move forward. Next, you've stopped searching for it and have given up. So 80% of success is showing up, as according to Woody Allen. Yeah, right? So much of wanting to achieve something literally just means you have to be able to be willing to walk through the door. You have to be able to get out there. Whether you achieve it or not, put yourself out there. If you have a job interview, arrive on time. If you need to pitch someone, send the bloody email. Like, just actually do it and see what happens from that. But so many people live in fear and they won't do it and they won't achieve it. So there's that. And then the next one, you're trying to live up to someone else's life. Yeah, so we talked about that. And then fight at all costs to learn where your passions and talents intersect. So people not even understanding, I think, what they're good at is also a kind of maybe a reason why they won't achieve their success. I think for me, I can speak to that by pursuing opportunities in media. I have found my passion and I have found things that excite me and energize me. And now I have a thirst for it. So I'm going to continue to thrive and do what I do with that. But if I never put myself out there, then I would have never realized the passion existed. So there's that. And I just would add to that, I guess, just, I think some of the other reasons we mentioned earlier probably would be reasons why people don't fulfill their purpose. And do I generally, to answer the ultimate question, do I think most people find it? No, because I think there are too many sad, miserable people with regret out here, whether true. It's people in my family, people I've met in work, people in professional settings. I don't believe I've lived in a world filled with happy people and people who seem to kind of radiate with joy and fulfillment. I'm not seeing that. I'm not feeling that. So I suspect that they are not living their true purpose and they haven't found it, and they probably haven't asked the question, to be honest.
It should come naturally.
I feel like, the people we interact with would be, I'm not saying I want to wake up and walk into, West Side Story, like everyone's singing and dancing.
Yeah, everybody's having a grand old time.
Yeah, like those weird episodes that happen in TV shows when, like, the writers don't know what else to do, so they should just start singing with bluebirds. Like,
so you can start singing and dancing.
But I do think that I just feel like the tone of life would be different if most people were living their truth. Like, it just seems like it would be different, and we wouldn't, even some of our commercials wouldn't be like, down, so sad, feeling this, go and walk into this and suck this out of your body and eat this fried chicken. Like, I feel like our ads would be different. Like, I don't know. What do you think?
Unfortunately, I tend to agree with this Inc. article by Shelly Prevost that's titled 5 Reasons Why Most People Never Discover Their Purpose.
Okay.
And the first one is, we are lured into thinking that the purpose of life equals upward social mobility, establishing a career, accumulating wealth, competing and winning, and holding power.
Wow.
In too many cases, you live the script for someone else's life. You look for a career before you listen for a calling. Yeah.
Oh, that's
people do
deep.
that, definitely.
Oh, that's so deep.
You hate silence. I think that goes into you mentioned that earlier about there's sometimes we don't have a space where we can think.
Intentional space, yeah.
And then people actually just don't even like having that space is what it comes down to.
It's true. I used to tell you that, and silence used to scare me. Now I embrace it because it's a moment of clarity. Embrace silence, guys. Yeah, it's
definitely
needed.
We live in a society that does not value silence. It values action. Live a life where ego is in charge and you're left with burnout and a burning question. I have a great life. Why am I not fulfilled?
Oh, wow.
So it's easier not to have that silence when that question will pop into your head, right?
Yeah.
And then the last reason that she gave that people don't fulfill their purpose is you devalue the unconscious mind. In The Social Animal, David Brooks takes aim at the bias in our culture that the conscious mind writes the autobiography of our species. Our culture has a relative disdain for the unconscious mind and all that it represents: emotion, intuition, impulses, and sensitivities. Although I have to say that the reason this can also be attributed to help with coping with the everyday horrors that take place in our lives. So there's a reason that we don't, we don't look at just our purpose. We are trying to survive just
we have to have coping mechanisms.
Yeah, so,
absolutely.
So we definitely get into our emotions sometimes, just to deal with life. It's like to deal with the negativities of life.
Yeah.
So we don't have the chance to just focus on why are actually we here. We're just focusing on surviving and kind of like getting through our problems in life.
I mean, for me, that's super powerful, guys. Check out the links in the episode at WokeNFree.com, because the number one thing that speaks out to me from this article is you look for a career before you listen for a calling.
Yeah.
So profound. So bloody profound, guys. Think about that when you're raising your children and you're like, you should be a baseball player.
Say that
is it because you put the bat in their hand and they were 2 years old and they just wanted ice cream at the end? So that's why they're doing it. Guys, we're just animals that are following each other. Like, we gotta pause and be more intentional and be more understanding of, and I think recently I did something where someone was like, people are too caught up. It was a panel event I was at, and they were saying people are too caught up with doing instead of being, and I was like, oh yes, there's a difference between doing and being.
Taking action.
Yes,
as opposed
and
to
just understanding why are you taking this action? Yeah. What the hell is the purpose? Right? Like, is there a purpose to hitting a ball and a bat? Listen, I'm not a sports person, so I'm definitely not answering that question, because y'all will get mad at me. But, because you could read a book, I don't know, but...
Or you can hit a ball with the bat and see how far that ball goes.
And see how big that bank account gets, yeah.
Yeah, see? Exactly, that's the whole point.
That's a whole other... Why are people obsessed with sports? We got to add that to the repertoire of things to discuss. But deep stuff, yes. And also, you live the script for someone else's life. That's key, guys. It's symptomatic of our culture. It's symptomatic of human beings and how we're living. And we got to change the narrative.
Yep. Here we go, yo. So what's the scenario? It's scenario time, guys. Scenario 1. Allison is making lots of money on Wall Street as a daytime trader. She is independent and lives right across from Central Park, New York. The other day she partied with Mariah Carey for a few hours. One thing Allison wonders is why her life seems like it's a bit off. She's contemplating dropping everything and traveling somewhere for a year. Should she do it, or is she losing her mind?
It's interesting that she had this inquiry after hanging out with Mariah Carey. No shade there.
No, that's just a prominent celebrity that she hung out with.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
All right, I won't say something else, but that's okay.
Okay, yeah, you shouldn't. There's nothing intended by this. This could have been any star.
Oh, okay.
This could have been Nick Cannon. It could have been anybody.
Okay. Well, to answer the question, just again, similar to what you were saying earlier, just because you make a bunch of money and you got money in that bank doesn't mean that you can fulfilled. So she's probably questioning this at this point in her life, because she probably isn't going to work with a clear why as to why she's a day trader. Maybe being a day trader isn't fulfilling her. Being a person in Wall Street as a woman, is very rare, so she probably is dealing with a lot of sexism and male ego and white male patriarchy and a lot of stuff going on there, so it's probably a challenging workplace, to say the least. And so she's probably wondering, like, why am I doing this? What is this really feeding for her? And if it's not feeding you anything, then you start to wonder what the hell's happening in your life. So should she do it, or is she losing her mind? I mean, if she is feeling mentally unstable, I am an advocate for people pursuing therapy, because that's something that we in our country and this world undervalue the necessity of mental health stability. So I definitely don't think it's one or the other. I think if she wants to see a therapist, she can always do that. But should she travel for a year? I mean, if she financially can swing it and it's something she really wants to do, and if her current life isn't fulfilling her, then you never know where you're going to be a year from now. So why the hell not do it and see what happens? My 10-year-old self would have never said that. I would have scoffed at this and been like, that's ridiculous, she should go and make her money.
Yeah.
But I've grown up and I've realized, you know, you can't put a price tag on happiness. And if you're not feeling fulfilled, that's the equivalent of being a slave in your own body and in your own life. And she deserves more than that, being a fictional character and all. So answer the question.
So then do you think she should just do it then?
She should do it, and she should also make an appointment for therapy if she feels the need for
All
a
right.
mental health assessment. Yeah.
Ah, all right.
Yes, it's healthy, guys. It's healthy, guys. It's healthy.
All right. I would recommend her not seek therapy and just seek the travel agent, is what I would say.
Why should she not get therapy, Khalil, when we've talked about mental health on this
Because
show?
I don't know if it, to me, it doesn't seem like a mental health issue. It just seems like she's overstressed in her job and she needs to take a break from it. Maybe she'll see that she's not meant to do this job. She's meant to do something else. So I don't know if therapy is the first thing.
Okay.
I mean, if she's pulling her hair out, then she better go to therapy. If she's like hurting herself or something, then you can't play around. But if she's just like stressed out and super stressed of this job, then I don't think it's necessarily she needs a therapist. I think she can just go and travel.
She'll travel and just smoke that hookah and she'll be fine.
Whatever they have there.
Hey, get it.
Wherever she goes, she can smoke the chief pipe. I don't know.
Bravo.
Yeah. Have fun. Speaking different languages, talking tongues. Yeah.
CC.
Scenario 2. Rava is a great mother to 7 kids and has raised them to be very successful individuals. Since she has been so busy as a housewife, she never got to figure out what she actually enjoys. Is it worth it for her to find herself, or is she better off continuing with her stay-at-home life since that is all she knows?
Interesting question. I do have one question. How old is her youngest child in the house?
The youngest child will be 21.
Oh, okay, cool. Yo, Rava.
Yeah,
Rava, go live your life, boo. You know, you did your thing. You had 7 kids. First of all, you're a warrior. You're a frickin' warrior. You pushed out what? 7 individuals?
Just 7, though, not 17.
Warrior status.
Not 17. It's not that record.
1 makes you a warrior. 7 makes you a 7-time warrior.
Oh, wow.
So she's gone to battle quite a bit already, and she's come out on the other side. God bless you, Rava. And live your life. You fictional character, you fictional goddess.
Oh, man.
Do your thing, man. You go out here. It's never too late. I just looked at a video of a 102-year-old woman who started painting at 85 years old. She inspired me. I can't wait to start painting.
She learned how to paint?
And at 85, she started it. And I think she's like having a successful career as a painting. She's 102. And then there was another woman, I think deep into her 80s, or 72-year-old, who was like doing things at the gym that I cannot do. And I am not 70 years old. So, you know, listen, it's never too late to live your life. It's never too late to pursue your passions. Your children are grown. You did your thing for them. And even if they weren't grown, who are you living for? You living for yourself? You living for these, you know, ragamuffins. I mean, you gotta, you brought them here. You did their thing. You fed them. The youngest one is 21. Go ahead with your bad self. Live your life.
Yeah, I agree. She should definitely go out and find out what she likes to do. Just try a bunch of different things. I don't think you're too old to do stuff. Even if she wanted to go out and party at the club, that's up to her.
Badass. Yeah.
I know people make fun of old people going to the club and doing their thing. You better
work it.
Hey, that's fine as long as you live in your life.
You live your life. You paid your
I'm okay with that.
Do your damn thing.
You partying, you having fun, that's all good.
Listen,
that's what it's meant to be.
Yeah, she's going to go party with Rihanna now.
Yeah, there's no age limit on partying.
Absolutely not. Not with this hot music out here. Well, you better get your trap stuff out.
That's another thing he's talking about, this hot music. Okay. Saying this hot music. Okay.
Shade, Khalil, shade.
Okay, I don't know. I mean, it's debatable. I'm not saying all
it is debatable, bad. Actually. Yeah,
it's definitely debatable how if there's as much hot music now as there was in the past.
Definitely not. Debatable. My playlist is consisted of 1990s and 2000 music that I'm bumping to, but I'm bumping to it, so...
Oh, you're not rocking that 1810 stuff?
Excuse me?
1810? Oh, yeah. See, yeah, I'm really old school. That's the thing.
Are you talking about classical music?
Come on now.
Do not make the WokeNFree Nation question your sanity.
Wow. Come on now. You know, I take it back. I take it way back.
Okay, sir.
Scenario 3. Christina is so happy she gets to do what she loves. creating historical paintings made of thousands of macaroni noodles. She then donates these works to charities to help raise funding. This has led to Christina working multiple jobs just to support her lifestyle. Is this really her purpose, or should her dream job alone afford her lifestyle?
Ooh, interesting question. First of all, interesting scenario. I wonder what you read that inspired that.
Oh, really? You don't think I just came up with that?
Macaroni noodles, Khalil?
You don't think I just came up with that? She's creating historical paintings, though, just with the noodles. Different colored and different... I guess it's only macaroni, so it's different colored noodles.
Phenomenal.
That takes some talent, though, to arrange it and make Mona Lisa out of just noodles alone.
I'm kind of contemplating wanting to do that on the side now. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, that's going to take some time and planning.
Absolutely.
A lot of mistakes.
But, that's a really deep question, right? So if you are doing something that you love, but you have to do something else to afford the lifestyle for you to do what you love, is that your real purpose in life? That's a self-determining question. And so I think she has to come to terms, Christina has to ask herself, is this macaroni art that she's making with these historical paintings she's making, is working these other jobs to be able for her to afford this hobby or activity that she's doing, is it worth it, right? Is that enough for her? Is there something else missing? I think not everyone, I'm reading a book right now, and, it's really talking about the idea of, like, feminism, modern day feminism, and not everyone wants to be a CEO, not everyone wants to be Mark Zuckerberg, not everybody wants to be Damon John or Michael Jordan or Steph Curry, right? Like, we all have these really wonderful, amazing talents in this world, but not everybody wants that. Some people do just want a life where they make $70,000 or $40,000 and they paint on macaroni and they call it a day. I mean, I think at the end of the day, if Christina's happy, if she wakes up feeling grateful and excited for the life she has, and the other work she's doing isn't driving her crazy, it's not making her pull out her hair or put macaroni on her face, then
that's not part of the exhibit.
Oh, good Lord.
It could be, though. That could be something in the future.
Sweet Jesus.
That's a modern art kind of take on her modern art. I mean, that's really modern.
So as long as she's still sane and she's happy, do your thing, Christina. Live your fictional happiness. And do your thing.
Why you gotta make her life fictional, though? Come on now.
Everyone's fictional today.
She can't have a non-fiction life?
Sure.
Okay, good.
Excellent.
Finally.
What's your answer?
My answer is, Christina, please live a non-fictional life and don't let Natasha take away your life. Let it be non-fiction if you believe it so. That's how I feel, because I don't think people should be able to make your life fiction just because they feel it's fiction.
That's a very true statement, actually.
That just does not seem right.
Yes, okay, but what's the answer to the question?
Oh, okay. You're talking about the question I asked.
Indeed, sir, yes.
Alright, it's a good one, because it's like, you gotta try to live, and you gotta wonder if your job's not supporting that life, is it really what you're meant to do? I mean, technically it is. Maybe you're just not thinking outside the box. Maybe there's other ways to make more money from it and not do the multiple things. So I wouldn't say that the job is the wrong part. Maybe it's how you're going about it. Like, creating your stuff is all fine, but maybe you just gotta, you gotta do a little bit more with it. You might have to step up your social media game and think about putting your art on different shows, stuff like that.
True.
Giving it to schools, starting courses. Maybe try to, hook things in that are very similar.
Like, monetize from the art and then grow a following and then make more money that she could donate and doesn't have to actually donate the noodle art itself, but actually just donate cash that she earned from something else.
Right? Yeah, you use the art and you branch out into different fields.
I like the class idea. I like even touring. She could do like a noodle tour thing.
Stuff. Because she doesn't have to just flip burgers to make money. She can flip the noodles.
Not even with you right now.
Because that's what most people are thinking without multiple jobs. All right, she may clean floors.
She could walk dogs too,
She might work in stock at a certain big box retailer.
She could be a professional cuddler for all you know.
No, she wouldn't. Then she would love that more.
I know, they make good money there.
Yeah, she would love that more than
Shout out to
macaronis.
Professional cuddlers. Guys, if any of you are that, please let us know in the comments, because I'm actually dying to interview someone who's a professional cuddler. I'm just interested in understanding, how does that work exactly?
Well, they have to pay the person to cuddle them.
No. They get paid to come and cuddle someone else, and they get paid
Smart.
for that. It's amazing.
Okay.
They make good money.
Good job. That's all I can say. Good job. That's just baffling.
It is. I like your answer, though. I like you're saying, listen, Christina, think outside the box.
Yeah, she needs to make
and up your noodle game, man.
Her noodles need to support her lifestyle.
Okay, fair enough. Step your noodle game
Yeah,
up.
I think that's what she should do.
You better ramen your life. Yes.
No, I guess you can. That's another thing.
Indeed. We are at that time again. It is the coming of the end of our 90th episode of WokeNFree. This was
Decent.
quite the episode discussing if there is a purpose to life. Will I leave you hanging for what our next episode will be about?
On our next episode, we will be discussing whether the war on drugs is a real thing. Make sure you follow us on social media to follow along in the conversation, and make sure you tune in next week for WokeNFree Wednesday to join the conversation at WokeNFree.com.
If you want to be a guest on the show, submit a topic for an upcoming episode, or share how you feel, you can always hit us up on our Contact Us page at WokeNFree.com. That is WokenFree.com. Again, you can always feel free to hit us up on social media if you just want to have a quick chat with us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube at WokeNFree. And if you're interested in sponsoring an upcoming episode or talk about a sponsorship opportunity with us, find us on our Contact Us page at WokenFree.com.
If you didn't already subscribe, please do. Share the episode, and make sure you come back to join the conversation every Wednesday for WokenFree Wednesdays. Remember, WokenFree is more than a podcast, it is a way of life. Until next time.